Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to My Expanded Universe, a show where I go through the entire EU in chronological order as best I know how. Folks, we're going to talk about some more short stories. There is a ton of short stories at this point. And we're going to talk about the Occupation of Rhamlai, written by M.H. Watkins. It stars Triton Moon, who's a promising Imperial agent who's a little force sensitive, who finds out the Empire isn't cracked up to all he was told. And so he has to escape and join the rebellion. A lot of Star Wars adventure journals like this one were very common. Someone finding out the Empire isn't all what it's cracked up to be and leaving. By the way, this is Star Wars Adventure Journal 13, if I missed that. But the story is actually pretty decent. All these stories were set up to leave the character up to you to continue their adventures, which is why you have to give them their kind of origin story first, right? They have to leave the Empire or have a beef with the Empire and join the rebellion, and now you, as the, working with the rebellion, are going on missions to take down the Empire. So you take over Moonrunner. What happens next, in his adventures? Who does he encounter next? So all that kind of stuff, that's what the West End games, well, the adventure journals were definitely for, was creating new characters for you to play your RPGs with. But I don't mind how, those stories kind of all seem the same because their characters are different and their situations are, of course, different as well. The way the Adventure Journal writes it out, too, they space out a lot of the paragraphs with like a little emblem of a X-Wing, which I thought was really neat. It makes it really easy to read through these as well. These are really reader-friendly short stories. Like, there's not just a whole page after page. Sometimes there's pictures included, and of course there's big breaks in between the paragraphs. So easy to find a stopping place as well. Now, the next one I want to talk about is a Hyperspace exclusive fiction. It was called Deader Than a Triton Moon, written by Jason Fry. Now, this one focuses on a character, Shandy Fanoso, as he shares a story with a young smuggler on a lesson of trying to get rich quick. There's a little twist at the end of his story that's really kind of smart and good. I've already told you what I think of Jason Fry. I think he's really smart. Ever since his Guide to Warfare, I really become to appreciate him even more. I always liked his stuff. I knew who he was. He'd wrote a few short stories here, but that Guide to Warfare was so good, and it made me realize, oh man, he has a deep knowledge of the expanded universe. Now, not that this Hyperspace fic does anything to connect to anything else, but it's just a solid story that happens within the world of Star Wars, and it feels like it fits too. It's a unique type of story, and I like when they come up with unique ideas to put twists on things. And he's looking for this collection of tapes, which if you can get a full collection of them, they're worth a lot of money. Now, how he actually gets them is very interesting. But who thinks like that? Who thinks that would be the most expensive artifact that he can go after? So I like the uniqueness of that. And I loved Hyperspace on Star Wars Fan Club. Man, it was one of the that was the only reason to go to StarWars.com for the longest, because they had so many great news, updates, articles, and short stories. I really wish they'd do that again, of course, with Expanded Universe stories. Now, the last one I want to talk about is a 5-issue comic book series written by Mike Kennedy called Star Wars Underworld. Now, in this one, Imbra, Malta, and Jabba the Hutt make a bet to see whose man can help retrieve the statue of Yavin Valisky, which is made out of one big Corsekia gem. And it's very expensive, and they all send their champions there to go and retrieve it. And I mean, you have Bosk, IG-88, Greedo, Han, Lando, Dengar's in it, Boba Fett's in it, basically the whole gang from Empire Strikes Back. They just came up with an idea to put them all on this adventure and go after the same prize. And of course, they're trying to knock each other off as they're getting that statue. Now, to be honest, I forgot this comic book even existed until I was establishing my timeline through the dark times, and I realized, I was like, Oh man, I said Underworld. I kind of remember that. What was that about? And I had to look back through it. It's a fun little story. I don't know why I forgot about it. Basically, you're just rehashing the good old, times from anyone who saw Empire and said, "Oh, I wish they had more adventures with these guys all mixed." Well, you can't always put them in the same adventure every time. It would get old after a while. But they do a fun job doing this. Everyone's going for the same statue, and the ending's fun. Each one of the Hutts who make the bet, they're all different, of course. They have different methods, and of course they're trying to undercut and cheat the others to win the prize. So for that reason, it's a pretty good comic book series if you want to see it. I'm sure it was collected in a trade, but of course I don't know because I got these when they came out. All right, folks, that's all for now. See you next time with another video.